Okay, welcome everyone. Today I have the pleasure of interviewing Roman Chernin, co-founder and chief business officer of Nebius. Thank you so much for joining me, Roman. I sincerely appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, hi Manuel and all the audience.
So, before diving into the topics that we're going to cover, I think it's important to give some brief context about your company and how it started. Because, I mean, even though awareness has been clearly going up over the past few months, I think Nebius is still somewhat misunderstood by everyone, let's say. Simply put, the story of Nebius Group begins inside Yandex, which is often called the Google of Russia, not only because of its search engine, but also because several other technology segments. But after Russia's invasion of Ukraine, about 2,000 workers decided to leave the country, including hundreds of engineers and members of the founding team of Yandex.
Actually, it was 1300
Okay, okay,
to be
to be accurate.
very
So
accurate.
1300 decided to leave the country, and following one of the most complex restructurings in recent history, the Russian-based assets were separated from the rest, and essentially that's how Nebius was born in 2024. So I've always said to my audience that your roots within Yandex are a key differentiating factor because they allowed you to have a team of hundreds of engineers with decades of experience at, let's say, at the hyperscaler level. So maybe we could start from here, and I could start by asking you to discuss the advantages that come from that. Like, what do you think are the most important benefits of having such experienced and complete team right from the beginning of your journey?
Yeah, I think so. First, thank you for the context. I think you put it very accurately. Like just to also clear one detail, Russian assets were sold by our Dutch holding, and that's partly the explanation why we became actually we didn't became we resumed trades as a publicly traded company, right? So, and that's actually the very unique situation when the company was public more than a decade, and then the trades were suspended, and then like 2.5 years later they kind of started to trade again. And this is partly the reason why there is not enough institutional coverage, there is not enough analytics who talk about Nebius, because there were a lot of people who knew Yandex business, but then under the same kind of corporate structure after all this transition, absolutely new business appeared. So it's quite. I'm not sure that it ever happened in the world of public companies. Um, Coming to your question, I think there are two main differentiators that came from the pre-story of the company. One is the engineering talent that you mentioned. So we indeed started with few hundreds of very strong engineers who had experience, not only had experience of building things on scale, but they also had experience of building together things on scale. And it's quite difficult to overprice. In the normal companies, it takes years to actually come to the stage when you have a lot of talent of this level working together with with experience of building. And this talent is also quite comprehensive because we have people who build all Yandex physical infrastructure layer, all the data centers, the hardware, like the experience of building hardware coming from that times. Uh, we had we have people who actually build infrastructure, including public cloud offering, and we have AI researchers, AI practitioners. So all these kind of three layers physical infrastructure, software platform, and AI, they also rarely come together so early in the companies. Actually, like only hyperscalers can afford to have all this together. So this is one component. Another component, which is also very interesting, is actually the capital, because we started with cash in our account. So when the transaction of separation with Russia, Russian assets completed, actually Russian assets were sold, and the company received almost 2.5 billion cash proceeds out of this transaction, which is like nothing comparing with the value of assets that were sold, but still it's quite significant amount for the company that starts new business, and especially that capital incentive business that we actually doing in cloud. So we can discuss what it led us to do differently, but these two components, actually the engineering talent and capital. And by the way, important component of capital is not only cash we started with, but assets we also own. And you like very often remind people about that we sit on the some non-core assets, including the quite significant share in ClickHouse, which is now one of the hottest startups, and we also owning the large part of Taloka, which is um, data labeling or expert system for AI, and also self-driving unit. So these three components, uh, like these three assets, uh, eventually will also materialize in some significant, quite significant capital that we can use for the core business development.
Yeah, and it's quite important what you touched on about the three layers that you cover, and that brings me also to one of the advantages you have, which is vertical integration, not only on the hardware parts but also on the software layer, because of your full stack approach. So this kind of brings me to the next point, which is about the four different types of customers that Nebius is trying to capture. First, the AI native startups, where you have like dozens of success stories, and customers say that they truly value your tailored approach. Then you have the frontier AI labs slash hyperscalers, where you're not fully present yet, but will probably be when you have a larger scale. You have then the enterprises wave of customers that you're always mentioning. That's your ultimate goal and the way you're going to differentiate yourself. And then the national AI initiatives. For example, Nebius was selected by the Israel Innovation Authority to build the country's national supercomputer.
Yeah,
Uh,
actually, it's not. It was like I want to comment on that. Like, and it's a good context to comment. It was a little bit of misleading headers titles of the news that we selected to build a national supercomputer, because in reality we just were in a normal like business expansion, like footprint expansion, and we decided to build one of our regions in Israel because here is a lot of our customers and we want to serve them here. And then the one of the state agencies, Innovation Authority, they actually noticed we are here, and they landed their. It's not a supercomputer, but it's the program to support local demand with local supply, and they actually just picked us as a channel to distribute their support and subsidies to local researchers and startups that working on AI.
okay,
And
thank
by
you
the way,
for
the
the
same
context.
story in UK. We are not participating in like in tenders. We just built our new region there, and we see a lot of interest from government to you know to
Use it as a
to
film.
to use it as a infrastructure that they can
Okay, makes
that
sense.
they can use to leverage their local market. But sorry, I do want like
No,
interrupt.
thank you for the context. It's definitely important. But to my point, I was just going to ask, like, what can you tell us first about the differences in what each type of customer looks for and what they
Yeah.
value more, and also how Nebius differentiates itself from competitors like CoreWeave or hyperscalers, or even the lower cost and smaller neo clouds on each of those customer segments, let's say.
Yeah, so I think we need to take one by one. So AI native startups, it's natural market to start with because um, it's fast growing. People are highly technical. They know what they want. They move fast. They well funded, which is a good thing. And most of the market of neocloud, so-called neocloud, started from these AI startups. And it's a great market for us because we like to work with those like super technical founders. They actually push us hard towards efficiency, and we actually learn a lot from them. And long term, we believe that the lessons that like the technology we build with them will actually create a lot of value for moving after them like enterprises. But what is also important that we start seeing that from these kind of startups growing the new winners of the future AI market. And one of the things that we really focus on is to become like reliable long-term partner for those who will grow in the next layer, next generation of enterprises, the next, I don't know, uh, Salesforces, ServiceNows of the world, right?
Yes.
Then um, they really benefit from the platform we built and all this vertical integration approach because they are very uh, sensitive to the price, which is not a secret. And our full stack let us have one of the best cost structure in the market. But also they are very fast, and like they need, and it's not a joke, it's not exaggeration that they really need things happen overnight. So it's like it's not single story when people come to us on Friday and they need something working on the scale on Sunday because because they have some opportunities on their side. And actually what we built is not only gives like better experience for developers later on and so on, but it also let us move super fast, which is, I believe, the most benefit for this market. Then when we shift to super labs, as we call them, and hyperscalers, this is quite different market because in general, this is the market of bare metal. This is the market of very scaled but quite uh, low level infrastructure. They consume from people like us or from people like CoreWeave because they need to move fast. They need they actually need like they need so much power, so much compute that they just cannot build in time themselves. Like it's insane that like OpenAI is moving so fast that they like Azure, CoreWeave, Oracle, and it's still not enough. So like all the market is trying to catch up on pace that needed to actually like leverage this growth. And OpenAI is like the largest, but only one of the customers of this market, right? Um, so this is the market of the scale. And what was super important for us is in our last earning calls, we updated our like capacity forecast. Capacity, I mean data centers and the power. So we announced that by the end of next year, we'll have 1 gigawatt power reserved, secured, which is actually like not everybody understands what does it really mean. It doesn't mean that we immediately invest like 30, 50 billion dollars in the chips to fulfill this 1 gigawatt. It's not doable, to be honest, like without the large contracts that like justify such investments, because without like for proper fundraising that needed to be done for that. But what is important that we are on the roadmap to secure the less elastic the less elastic resource on this market, which is actually land and power. And we have today we have two large plots that we are working, one in Europe and one in US in New Jersey, and we on the way to secure a couple more like large greenfield projects that will let us, if needed, when we and if we have a demand, to be limited only with actually not to be limited, because
Exactly.
if you got this customer and you have power secured, then it's just a matter of execution, because like then the banks will be happy to borrow you money, and like we know how to build very fast these capacities. So this is the market of hyperscalers and super labs, and we never built in the idea that this is our like main bet. But obviously, if we have the opportunity, if we'll have the opportunity to work with those customers, we'll do it. I think what is important also that we developing the trust, like working with the smaller customers. So but in this, they are in the same community. Like everybody knows everyone, so it's important to develop the trust. Like when you go in the project, like and you deploy billions and billions as a customer, you want to make sure that you work with someone who deliver. And like for us, it's not lost time when we work with the smaller customers. Actually, like we develop a lot of reputation and experience. And then the third segment, which we many times said is the key target for us, the most challenging to be fully open, because this is the real like red ocean competition with the hyperscalers. This is the enterprises, and we started with more digital companies like ISVs, global ISVs like Shopify, Cloudflare, JetBrains, very technical people, very technical companies. But we obviously believe that like when the AI products, AI solutions, AI capabilities will be maturing, they will penetrate in all enterprises of the world, and it will be the market of thousands and tens of thousands of customers. And we build this like our plan A is actually to win a significant part of this market, and it will be the competition of the platforms. It's not about bare metal. It's not about just having 10 cents less price. It's not about even move that fast. It's about having like super efficient, super tailored offering that serves their needs. And most of investments, if you think about software platform that we do with those customers in mind. And this is the game for the next whatever 5-10 years for us.
Okay, so and about the national AI initiatives, it's good that you gave us some context about those other projects, but it also brings me to another topic, which is European Union and like the ramping up of AI investments. Like the EU already said that they're committing billions to gigawatt scale data center infrastructure. So I don't think it really makes sense, but some investors express concern that because of your past within Yandex, that might prevent you from building a strong relationship with the European Union or something like that. So my question is, do you expect to directly benefit from these investments, these public investments in infrastructure for AI through, let's say, some kind of public-private partnership? Or how do you see these developments in the European Union, considering that you have that sovereign advantage, let's say?
Yeah, first of all, I don't think that Yandex heritage is the reason we cannot participate in all those initiatives. I think that we went through so deep and so comprehensive cleaning process that maybe no companies in their history went through. To close the deal of restructuring to sell Russian assets, it took it took for a while, and not only because it was difficult negotiations with the buyers, but it also was a lot of work to convince U.S. and European regulators that what we build uh, is clean. And I think that like the public can have all the suspicious and like people love all the theories, but the reality that it's like the reality, like the fact that we have one of the most strong, we call it zero connection policy among all the players in this market, and like we don't touch anything that can be anyhow related to our past. uh, and I think that like the customers we work with are speaking for themselves. So you can imagine that the largest customers of us market, they none less sensitive than like European programs. Answering your question about the business opportunity, first, uh, let's put it this way: we are, as I commented on, like Israeli project and UK project, we happy to collaborate with projects that make sense, that we believe will really contribute to development on like regional AI infrastructure. We, in general, very much supportive to the idea that AI should be like that. The strong regions and the strong countries, they cannot survive if they don't think about certain level of sovereignty in AI. It's a strategic technology. Um, Although not all the projects we believe makes too much sense for us to participate directly. For example, European projects, for some extent, this is more like real estate type of project. So the government, which makes a lot of sense. They want to unlock the key bottlenecks, which is power and data centers build out. And we talk with most of the players who actually participating in that, and we position us more like the next layer of builders who can bring the platform then. So because you like to build the gigawatts data centers, it's not enough. Then you need to fulfill it with the GPUs. You need to make it work, and you need to build the platform on top of that if you want this infrastructure to serve real customers, real enterprises, and not just go as a gigawatt capacity to some large take like customer, like bare metal customer, like large super lab that we discussed before, right? Because if it goes to super lab, what is the idea of sovereignty? Like why you like if it end up with like large hyperscaler of large super lab rented out, what what is the idea of sovereignty? So I think that for Europe, it's much more important to have, and again, it will happen. And of course, like all the large customers, they need presence in different regions. They will come and they will work on the scale. But like what we believe in is we need to build in Europe, in particular in Europe, we need to provide like to build a real platform that can serve local businesses, local enterprises, local interests of the public sector, and so on and so forth. And for that, it's not enough just to build real estate. It's you need people like us who can build the next layers, and we participate in all the discussions. We We talk with the large build-outs consortiums to bring our part there, and we'll
Okay,
see.
yeah, it makes perfect sense. I mean, but maybe now we could also touch on your main gig, which is the AI studio. I understand that you're now focused almost entirely on developing your inference as a service platform, let's say. So first, maybe you could talk,
Yeah,
generally speaking, about the strategic purpose of the platform itself, especially given what you're always talking about, the growing role of inference-related AI infrastructure. Because until
yeah,
now, most of the demand has been coming from training, but now the markets, and you're not the only one saying it, everyone is saying the same, like inference is growing at a faster pace, and in the future, in a few years, the most of the demand will come from inference.
yeah.
So what do you think is the
Which
main
I think,
strategic purpose?
which I think it's already true if you like exclude the largest training jobs of the largest labs. So
Yeah.
if you actually look at the real market, I think inference is already larger than training. So yeah, like for us, again, it was not it was obvious from the very beginning that uh, we call it real business, which, like, I mean, uh, I don't know the better word, like the sustainable business. It will be in inference in a wide understanding of training is building the product. It's like investments in the building the product, and then inference is actually the serving the customers wherever B2C, B2B, and so on. And it's natural that if we believe that AI is not a bubble, if we not just raise money, spend money, raise money, spend money, but we start like earning money and create the real economical value, it will be inference, right? And for us, it's super important because we also feel that when we work with the customers who are growing and who are serving their customers, we aligned. Because again, like the training is the cost center. You always want to save money when you like when it's fixed cost of building the product, right? But then when you serve your customers, if the business model is working, if like you sell more expensive that you buy, right? Then like it's sustainable and everybody is growing together. So like the best thing for me is when we see the customers coming to us buy more and more because they on their side they have more and more demand, and we have a lot of open discussions with our customers about like their business model and their price, like cost structure and so on, to be aligned, because at the end of the day, nobody wins if we overprice GPUs for them, for example, and then their economical model is not working. Like we just lose the customer. So that's about alignment. Then uh, what we do for that, we actually believe that eventually we just need to be the ultimate place to run production workloads, AI centric products and production workloads, and the direction is like there are few paths how we can do it. Like the first is actually what we already do on scale. We rent out infrastructure to those who build their models and then serve their models, right? And uh, we do a lot on the platform layer to make it super efficient. We have super efficient data scaling in our managed Kubernetes that let customers have like very limited overheads and pay really only for what they use and not for like any reservations and so on. Then we have partnerships. We bring some of the best inference platforms on Nebius. Like if someone loves to work with some inference software provider, we happy to serve them. What we don't want, and this is like the next step, is what we don't want. We don't want to be no name commoditized data center provider. So that's why we prefer to work with those partners, not just providing capacity to them, but more bringing them as a managed service on top of our platform. And this is the second way to serve our customers. And you could see some of the announcements how we do it with Lighting AI, with Base 10, with other people. And then the third thing is to build our own inference platform, because fundamentally, a lot of people who come to us, they come to us not with their own models, but to build on top of the open source models. All the DeepSeek, Quens, the freshly open sourced OpenAI model, and so on and so forth. Llama, of course, like a lot of models. And we believe that uh, our like our long-term bet that open source will remain quite strong, and people will build a lot on top of open source. And what we're gonna build is one of the best, or maybe the best, platform to build production scale solutions on top of open source models. And to do this, we need to do like several things actually. First, we obviously need to run those models very efficiently, because this is, as I mentioned, the matter of economics of our customers. Like all this race of tokens becoming cheaper, it's actually unlocks. It was funny when people discussed when DeepSeek released that now the market will go down because you don't need so expensive models to get the quality. No, it's opposite. Like when you got the same capability or the better capability for the lower price, you actually unlock new scenarios and you consume even more, because more customers get access to the new capabilities, or you build more powerful systems and can serve new scenarios. So first thing is it's a race of like reducing the price in a very easy words, like reducing the price, running it super efficiently, scale it very fast, like all the basic work of infrastructure. Make sure that our customers can get access to those models in a very, very efficient way, in a best price, scalable, paying only for what they use, and so on and so forth. Then the second thing is actually more complicated, because when you build the production system and not just prototype, you probably go far beyond just prompting, right? So you like nobody builds large systems just on a one endpoint like vanilla models. You need compare system between themselves. You need to combine them working together in agentic workflows and so on. So what we want to bring is actually the tooling that will lower barrier for the builders, and they will not struggle when they, for example, choose between closed source model and open source model. Like capabilities could be similar, and open source model could be even like more like cheaper, but the complexity of building will be the barrier. And like again, our role here is through the partnership, through development internally, is actually lower barrier for builders to use open source models in a production workflows. But then the third thing, which is even more interesting coming in game, we can expect that long term, the open source models will be good, but not that good as the frontier closed source models, just because of the level of investments done and so on. But when the real application is built, there is data of the customer or data from the use case coming in game. And what we actually bet on, and what like I think the industry believes in, that when you have good enough, but maybe not the best model, but you also have your unique data, or you have the data of the users for the specific use case, you can actually improve the model through the data for this tiny use case and actually catch up like foundational model that better. And our third direction of work, and there is a lot of AI research in industry and in Nebius also, how you actually improve the models with the data, how you re, how you use unique data of your customers, how you use the statistics of the work, and by the way, how you inject like experts in the system, where the partnership with Taloka can help us to improve the foundational model that like good and not like good but not the best, to the level that it's overperforms the state of the art models. So this is quite a lot of work. And when we think about again, like coming back to your question, what is inference platform? It's much more than just inference platform. Inference is just the first layer. Yes, you need the efficiency of serving these models. You need to extract more and more tokens from GPUs. You need to work on different types of GPUs and so on and so forth. But then you need to build two other components. You need to make sure that developer has all the tools that lower the barrier to build the production systems, and you need to make sure that the developer can use the data that actually close the gap of the quality of the foundational models.
Yeah.
The foundational models.
Yeah, makes absolute sense. And how big do you think is the opportunity when it comes to the AI studio becoming a meaningful revenue driver, as opposed to just companies using your GPUs and your infrastructure to train models or whatever? Like, how do you see it as a?
Uh, I think that it's too early to give any forecasts and numbers. I just can say that it can be large, and there is some information about specialized players of inference platforms, that like how they grow and what valuations they have, what rounds they raise. Just recently, we heard about the new round of AI, which is the serverless platform specialized on image and video models and so on and so forth. So we can like we can have some estimations how fast this market is growing, but and we'll see later what will be the opportunity for us. But we believe it's significant.
Yeah, understand. And as we're speaking about inference, I think it's worth touching on a related topic. Some investors are highly concerned that as newer generations of GPUs are released, like the demand for older versions could decline sharply. So, how do you see this dynamic playing out, especially given the current demand supply demand imbalance? And we've been hearing that older GPU versions are being retrofitted to inference, and there was also an independent study that ranked you as the best platform for inference-based solutions using the older versions of GPUs, so the ones that are publicly available. So, how are you seeing these dynamics playing out?
Yeah. So first, I think it won't be like, it's not a secret that every time the new generation of chips, even not came but announced, it puts some pressure on the prices. And like business wise, I think what is important for us is to have very diversified portfolio of the customers. We shouldn't be dependent on one like particular customer that can get the better deal from someone with a lower price and so on. So until now, we were quite successful in we continuously diversify our portfolio and like keep quite healthy pricing for all types of GPUs so far. Then the second argument is actually how fast the total consumption will grow. Like if you think about, for example, A1, like how much A100s against H100s were produced. I think H100s were like the order of magnitude larger volumes, and probably black holes will also will be produced in a much larger volumes than hoppers. So when you think about like the total market distribution, it impacts a lot because like in a few years from now, hoppers will be just, I don't know how much percent, but
Yeah.
like it will be the minority of the all chips that are available on the market. And to your point, what we see that there is a diversity of the workloads, and some of the workloads are getting better economics on all the chips. So, for example, still now people are running things on A100s, even though it's like 5 or 6 years old generation already. And we see quite significant demand on H100s also for the smaller models, for some training jobs that not um, memory bounded, and so on. And to the point of enterprises, I think this is also very important thing that AI startups, they always want to be on the edge. These AI native companies, they always want to have the best, the newest, because they are technical savvy, and they always expect to actually like unlock new capabilities with the new new chips comes to the market, to any like they eager to try new and take a risk, take a technological risk, and move fast to anything that can create the advantage. If you look in more classical companies, uh, they not they are not optimizing this thing uh, on the first order. They much more risk averse. They actually range like stability, predictability much higher than moving like light speed. They actually have more legacy systems to like migrate from version to version and so on, and their behavior we see is quite different. So I think that moving forward we'll see a very diversified types of workloads that run on different chips. B, we'll have diversified customers who also prioritize different things. Someone just don't want to take risk of the fresh thing where not all the software is already running without mistakes. And then the third thing, that moving upstack, and it's more about us, not about market, but moving upstack, providing at least partially, not renting GPU service, but using tokens or running data processing workflows, or like using the services of the higher level. When people speak with us, not in terms of renting this type of GPUs, but getting this type of result for this type of the price, we get the ability actually to optimize our software stack for the specific types of the chips. And investor view wide, like it's, you can think about it, it gives you the possibility to actually extend the lifetime of the chips. So even when on the stage, on the later years of generation, when some of the customers maybe don't want to rent them out, you still can run some APIs on them, and actually you continue to utilize them until it becomes like, I don't know, uh, not viable from whatever cost of ownership perspective. So I think that both fast growth of the market, B, moving market into the enterprises, and three, us building higher level of services will give us opportunity to actually have a healthy economics on the lifetime of the chips, even though the pace of like new generation is accelerating.
Yeah, honestly, I never thought about that perspective from enterprises being more risk averse and not wanting the light speed. It makes really very much sense. And I was wondering, like, as we are talking about GPUs and inference, I've been receiving this question for a lot of times. I think we know that you have a deep partnership with NVIDIA, which brings several advantages like hardware priority, engineering collaboration, the inclusion in the NVIDIA ecosystem, and so on. But have you ever considered, or is it plausible that in the future, let's say in the long term, you might deploy AMD clusters, especially considering that, as we were talking about inference and the growing role of inference related AI infrastructure and how advanced AMD GPUs are becoming on that side? Have you ever thought about that possibility inside the team?
I would say that right now this question is not in our agenda. We are very much focused on scaling fast with NVIDIA. We've got a lot of support from them. They're our investor. They're our like deep technological and business partner. And I think on this stage of the market, we are much more focused on scaling rather than extracting kind of some benefit from like more diversified approach. But the future, nobody knows the future, so we'll see. Like, and we are in the business where the customer says what they need. So in general, our business is enabling our customers. So when and if we'll see like the tight pressure of our customers, tough pressure of our customers that they need something, we'll consider. But at the moment, we are too busy with this scaling.
Okay, and so as we were talking about your partnership with NVIDIA, I think it's also very important to bring a topic that, let's say, scares a lot of investors, which is the commoditization of the sector. And you're always saying that we don't want to be commoditized infrastructure, and that's why you're building all the layers on top of that. So with NVIDIA announcing DGX Lepton, which you are part of, many investors are concerned that Nebius could lose its ability to differentiate from competitors through your full stack approach and your software layers. What do you think about this? And what's your even personal perspective about the development of this marketplace?
Yeah. So first, it's a good question. We asked many times about it, and it's a little bit difficult question because Lepton is DGX Lepton from NVIDIA. It's in a very early stage, so like nobody knows where it will be developed. Nobody knows what like priorities will be set and so on. Until now, we see it as a great channel. As simple as that. We've got few very good customers who started using Lepton, and then they on top of Nebius, and then they for the longer term reservations, for the longer term contracts, they came directly to us, and it was a good partnership, like good channel partnership. I think that again, long term, moving towards more enterprise customers, it's not the matter of. I mean, Lepton is a good approach to put together offerings from different NVIDIA clouds and serve quite a straightforward requirements of the existing customers of the existing market. And again, we believe that we are super competitive there. Like at the end of the day, it's not just the question of what channel people choose to come. They see the final kind of, they work with the cloud, so they see how it works, they see the reliability and so on. And we're quite sure that we one of the players that retain customer after they try something. But then when you think about enterprise market, it's like the enterprise customer will never use unknown infrastructure, even if it covered with trusted trusted marketplace like Lepton from NVIDIA. They will be very much interested who is under the hood. Like they will be interested whom they work with. They will be interested in much more toolings and technologies and layer of the software offering that can be commoditized through this type of marketplace. And I think that it's not a risk for us long term. I think that short term it's a great opportunity, and long term it will depend fully on us, like how successful we'll be in penetrating in more enterprise customers who actually cares about much more than just getting access to GPUs. And if we fail with that, it's our problem. And it's not the matter of Lepton or not Lepton. We'll just be commoditized in any way. Because if you just provide GPUs and all the discussions are around like how much it costs and how much you have, like it's a commodity. So I think Lepton per se doesn't create any additional risk for us, and it gives us like short-term good opportunities. Yeah, like our discussions with NVIDIA are how we work with enterprises. Again, like NVIDIA knows that we can deploy GPUs and sell them, but they have a lot of other people who can do it. What they interested, like why they interested in us, I believe, is because we can build something else, something that the other partners of them cannot. And they need such players like Nebius in their ecosystem that they can partner on the software layer, that can attack the customers that like they cannot actually penetrate through other NCPs. So that's the value, and Lepton like has nothing to do with it.
To be honest, I must say I love your focus on the enterprise side of things and how to build a sustainable model long term, as opposed to just trying to rush capacity and to rush having like contracts with hyperscalers or
No, we
no,
should
yeah, of
rush. We
course,
should
but
rush. It's not
of
one
course,
against like one
but
against
it's very
another.
important the
Like
focus on the
I
sustainability.
think yeah, I think it's just important to keep the long term kind of
Exactly.
target. And again, we uh, we may end up in the world where like we just utility company. It may happen. We can fail
Of
as
course.
any company. We can fail in our mission, in our vision. But it will happen because of us. It will not happen because of Lepton or any other circumstances on the market. And of course, we want to be large. We want to win the largest contracts of this market. We want to work with all great startups and so on. But this long term, like long term main challenge, it let us not be too much worried on every news that coming from this very dynamic
I
market.
love that. And also speaking of rushing capacity and to rush that side of things, maybe we could also touch on the expansion across Asia. I mean, we know that for obvious reasons, most of your capacity by the end of next year will come from the US, and that makes sense. But I'm also curious about your expansion to Asia because a few months ago, you announced, I think it was you actually, plans to expand AI infrastructure into Southeast Asia, identifying Singapore as a potential regional hub. And also, for instance, the CEO of Blackbox in India has also publicly stated that the country is looking to attract neoclouds, like he even mentioned Nebius and CoreWeave specifically. And recently, I saw that you opened a sales director role in Saudi Arabia. So we had been having a lot of hints on your expansion to that region. So how should we view your approach into this region? It's like something you're waiting before having a lot of capacity in the US, and it's kind of not a plan B, but a secondary option. Or are you actively already exploring sites? Or, I mean, what can you tell us about that?
So first of all, I think it's important to diversify, bringing physical infrastructure and business activities. We do have business activities across the globe. We, you're right. We are looking for the team in Middle East, and we actually, and in particular in GCC region, and we have quite interesting customers already from there that working with us. We quite active in exploring the Southeast Asia, and we actually have part of our team there, mostly because we have customers also to work with, and we want to be close to them. Then talking about the infrastructure, I obviously cannot announce anything that was not public yet. I can say that we very much prioritize our plans in Europe and US. I think it's the most important thing that we're focusing now. We are quite opportunistic though in looking in other spaces and in other regions. So I think that if we'll have a strong justification that the particular region needs us, and we have value to be created, we'll consider. And 1 year ago we had one data center. Now we'll have 7 by the end of the year, if not more, and it moves fast. So we'll see. But first of all, we follow the customers, and whatever we build should be very. It should be justified with demand we want to serve. And again, if we can serve demand from other regions, we can do it from we have customers from Middle East, as I mentioned, that we serve from Europe, and it works. So in Middle East, there are a lot of local providers like G42. So we need to explain ourselves why we would compete with them on their ground. So it's a long-term question.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Maybe perhaps the last question about the business, and then I just want to make a last one. What keeps you up at night? Not you specifically, but the entire team. What's your main concern about the viability, let's say, of your model?
I think the main existential question we have, and actually our first pitch to investors was 3 layers. So to invest, and we spoke with investors, so it was about investing in Nebius. So we said to invest in Nebius, you need to have 3 beliefs. One, AI is real, will be real growth. It's not a bubble. It will be economically viable, and it will impact all the industries that we see. I think everybody believes already that's true. Then the second question, will this market be very much consolidated and concentrated? Will we end up with having 2-3 supermodels with all the vertical infrastructure under the hood, and they will win all the market? This is the main question still. I think that if you ask the main existential question, this is the question of the consolidation of this market. We have a strong belief it will not happen because humanity wants different, and a lot of strong players on this market, including governments, including strong vendors like NVIDIA, don't want the market to be very much consolidated and monopolized. But I think it's a risk. We should kind of admit it. It may happen. ChatGPT 7 can be so strong that nobody will need anything else, or open source will be so weak that you will have no chances to build on something else but closed source ecosystems. And then the third belief, it's actually that Nebius, in the world of AI growing and the market is not that consolidated, has the right to win the significant part of this out of the large ecosystem part of the market. And I think that depends on us. As I said, when you asked about Lepton, we can fail. It's all about execution. We need to be very focused. We need to move fast. We need to be very kind of efficient in our decisions. But it depends on us. It depends on the team and so on. So when the team thinks about the existential risks, external risks, I think it's the fast consolidation that not that much in our control.
I really appreciate your detailed reply, and especially your mindset of it's all about execution. I really think the same. And if I've always said that yes, the unit economics of the sector are uncertain, and I mean everyone agrees on that side. I don't think anyone is certain of what's going to happen, but that's exactly why I mean I'm personally invested in Nebius. Everyone knows about it. It's because I think that it's the execution and the engineering resources and the approach that you have that will hopefully make the difference. And if there's going to be a new cloud that will succeed, I at least personally I think that your approach is the right one. Of course, time will tell. But thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
always considering the risk.
But we both are
Yeah,
conflicted,
exactly.
so
We're
we have to
biased,
believe.
exactly. But I love that you're not afraid of pointing the risks, because I mean a lot of managers and I mean from other companies are always trying to like avoid answering those questions and avoid recognizing the real risks of their businesses. So thanks a lot for that. So maybe I don't want to waste much more of your time. Perhaps a good final question would be, uh, can you tell us a bit about Arkady, like what type of leader he is and how important he is in the company, and not only for the management team but everything as a whole?
No, Arkady is a real founder, like with the founder like resilience and ambitions and um, curiosity. He was like on one of our last all hands. He was asked like something like that, and he said curiosity, and I think it's quite. He has this, curiosity of the researcher, of a mathematician who just wants to see how it works. Like he's really curious on on the things. So I think that I think this company exists, and like Arkady showed the impossible level of resilience, and it will not be an easy journey, right? So we'll see all the AI winters and neo clouds winters and all types of winters in our future. So like it, to be in the to be the winner in the long term game, you need to have this superpower of not only running the sprint, but be super cautious, like be super patient and super resilient when it comes to the real challenges.
Yeah, and your story speaks volumes about that. So I think we can wrap up here. Thank you so much for the
Thank you.
opportunity
Yeah,
to
thank you,
chat
Manuel,
a bit
and
with
thank
me,
you for
and
believing. Yeah, thank you for believing in us.
of course,
It
and
was not that obvious on the stage when you started to follow us, and not
I
so
mean
many people already knew the story, understood the story, and to hear the good words when nobody knows you, it's something important.
I really
It's a part
appreciate
of
it.
us. Yeah.
I mean, it's all about execution, as you said. So as long as you execute, I'll always be open to continuing to follow this amazing journey. So
Thank you.
we'll stay here. Thank you so much for everyone who's joining here and watching. And again, thanks Roman for taking a bit of your time, especially on a Sunday, which should be noted for everyone. So yeah.
Sunday is a working day in Israel, so it's much more investment from Manuel than from myself.
Oh, I didn't know about that. But yeah, thank you so much, everyone, and I see you hopefully in the next time.
See you.